Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 57 on February 12th, 2023 from your favorite WagerTalk handicapper for only $1,199 versus a regular price of $1,999 for one total savings of $800. This limited time super discount comes out to less than $100 per month and only $3.28 per day. As an added bonus, your all access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl 56, the more additional days you will get for free. Just go to WagerTalk.com, choose your favorite handicapper to lock in, and don't forget there is no limit to the amount of handicappers you can redeem our Super Bowl to Super Bowl offer on.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew McInnis, and I am live from my kitchen, having some computer problems in the office, so I moved to a couple rooms away, and we are in the kitchen filming this show. We have some great games today to go over: the Hurricanes, the Bruins, Devils, Blues, Maple Leafs, and Flames. And the highlight of the night could be a Stanley Cup preview here with the Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning going head-to-head. Carm, I'll bring you in, man. How was your night last night?
My night hasn't actually ended, Andrew. I got almost zero sleep, dealing with some stuff, some migraines and what have you. 5:30 in the morning is where I finally fell asleep, and I had to get up 3 hours later to make sure all my notes were ready. Before Brian's on the show today, a couple of thoughts, Andrew, because you're obviously dealing with a few issues on the home front, so you don't know what happened in production today. I've got a few things I'm going to discuss before we go to Brian here. Some of them have to do with some comments in our videos from yesterday, just to let you guys know. Like one guy got on us saying that it's a bad look that we don't discuss ice surfaces and boards in arenas and stuff. Guys, it's a 40-minute show. We're trying to give you actionable info, talking about ice surfaces and bounces off the boards in defensive or offensive zones isn't something we're going to spend a lot of time on. If it was a 2-hour show, I'd talk about nutritionists for each team, but that does not come into the capping that we do on this show. We're just trying to give you some actionable info. And then someone else said, I guess wasn't happy with the picks and said we should just give out all of our paid picks. Well, so he can then decide whether he wants to buy the picks and stuff. We can't do that. Again, it's just actionable info we're trying to give you. Some you're going to like, some you're not going to. The idea is to take what we say, and if you can use any of it to make yourself some money, so be it. There's no paywall here. It's free to watch, and we're not forcing you to buy a pick while there is advertising on the show. So we're trying to give you the best info we can give you. If we give out these paid picks, what happens is our customer service gets flooded with calls from people saying the stuff I paid for, they gave away for free. So we can't do that. We're just going to try and give you the best info we can give you. Trust me, we are trying to do that. With that said, Andrew, last night was one of those nights where goalies and lack of goalies, and we talk about it, how important goalies are. Look at some of these games. I had 2 games yesterday that I'll talk about real quickly before I throw to Brian, where a team that lost should have won, and a team that won should have lost. Seattle, Vejmelka stood on his head for Arizona. Seattle loses that game. Got some help from the pipes, some goalposts and crossbars. And Halak for Vancouver. I think he was counting his $1.5 million bonus for playing 10 games last night, because 16 minutes into that game, the Vancouver Canucks were down 5-0. They played the rest of that game after they took Halak out like they were on a 5-on-3 power play. The Islanders almost blew that lead. I'm telling you, I had the Islanders, and I feel like I stole a win there in that game, because, my God, Vancouver looked so good in that last 35 minutes of that game. It's tough. And this is probably the last we see of Halak. Rask retired. He's gone. And then the final one, I don't want to take up all this time, the final one. Mike Smith goes to Tippett and says, after Skinner was named the starting goalie, he wants to start, get him between the pipes. Tippett makes the choice, changes Mike Smith. 2.5 minutes into the game, Edmonton is down 2-0 to Chicago, and that team is not built to come back from deficits. They just haven't done it all year. They're a team that plays well with the lead, not so well when they're behind. A bad mistake by the coach there. Smith, the last time he played back-to-back games, last year in the playoffs when they were eliminated by Winnipeg, he allowed 4 goals in that fourth game where they were swept by the Jets. So goaltending is so important. This is why we talk about it on the show, and we'll talk about it again today with these games. Know your goalies, because it is a big thing when you're trying to make money. With that said, Brian, let me bring you in. My rant is over.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I wanted to talk to the chat room for a bit. I've only been handicapping hockey for 5 years. Every other person on this show has been doing it their entire lives. So I don't have a chance to check into the chat room while we are doing the show. I'm trying to listen and try to pick something up from these veterans who have been around much longer than I have. So I'm not able to answer any of the chats. I do want to thank the guys. Been a lot of nice things said about me since I've been filling in a little bit and being on the show. I do appreciate that. Thank you. If anybody has any questions for me or whatever, just put it in the comments section. I go through the comments section as much as I possibly can. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer it there. But if you're asking me something in the chat, chances are I won't see it live and I won't be able to answer it. Secondly, there's always been a lot of talk about Dave Koken since he's been on the show in the past. He's not on this year. Dave decided before the season that he went back and charted his plays, and he had more success when he gave out less plays. So, Dave lives in Vegas like I do. It's 8 o'clock in the morning out here. Dave wants to know what the goalies are going to be at this point. And rarely do you see it in an 8 o'clock show. That's why Dave's not on the show this year. He's still handicapping hockey. He just doesn't want to give out information that he's not confident with at the time. We can make judgments as to who the goalies are going to be, and that's part of our job. And I would rather make that and be correct and get a better line early on, and which is why we do this ourselves. There's another guy on yesterday, Rich, nice enough to talk about. If he says, if I send you a Vancouver jersey, will you wear it on the show? Hell, you send me any hockey jersey in my size, I will wear it on the show from anybody out there. Just get in touch with the Detroit offices, and they'll make sure I get it. XXX or a 56, whatever you like. And if there's anybody that is mad at me for some reason, either my picks or whatever, don't take it out on the Detroit office. Tell me you're coming to Vegas. I'm out at the casinos all the time. We'll sit down and I'll have a beer with you and take it out on me. Don't take it out on anything I ever do badly with the good, nice girls in the office. They do a tremendous job, and they don't deserve any of the negativity in that regard. So I just want to touch on that a little bit.
And guys, before I throw it back to Andrew, kudos to Brian on that. A little later on in when the video goes up, I will post his home number and cell phone number so you guys can reach him anytime you want. Over to you, Andrew.
Very well said, both of you guys. And Brian, we appreciate you being on with us back-to-back days. Just happy to have this show and happy to have a great group of guests. So, Carm, I wanted to mention actually before we get the show started, because it's always fun to feel like the guy that's breaking news. Head coach Dave Tippett is being relieved of his duties for the Edmonton Oilers. That is pretty much as of 10 minutes ago after yesterday's loss for the Edmonton Oilers. So, hey, I had the Edmonton Oilers in my buy segment just last week. They went 5-0-1, and then they had a couple rough losses. So, hey, we'll see what happens with this team. We'll see what the new coach can do for them and who that new coach is. We have games to discuss, though, for today. And let's start with the Boston Bruins playing at home at TD Garden against the Carolina Hurricanes here, guys. And obviously, this game, we saw so much money come in overnight. We've seen a lot of odd movement, a lot of changes here. And a lot of it has to come down to the lineups, the availability. Brad Marchand suspended for 6 games. For what he did in that Pittsburgh game. And I'm not going to defend Marchand by any means because he is such a repeat offender. It's not even funny. The fact of the matter is, though, Aaron Dell, goaltender for the Buffalo Sabres, gets 3 games, and Drake Batherson probably won't play for another month and a half. So I just think the NHL is just so ridiculous with how they choose their selections as far as these suspensions. But so looking at the lineups right now, guys, the Boston Bruins don't have Patrice Bergeron or Brad Marchand. So, unless this is a game we can expect the depth to really show up, guys like Craig Smith, guys like Taylor Hall, I don't think David Pastrnak can continue to carry the load like he has been. Let's not forget that last Carolina game when they blew that lead against the Maple Leafs. They're going to want to right the ship and get going again. So at this price, I'm comfortable and all aboard the fade train of the Boston Bruins without a few of their key guys for me. Carm, I'll go to you for your thoughts here in this game.
Yeah, if both teams were at full strength, we had no suspensions, no injuries, I would probably tell you right now, take the plus money with the Bruins, although I don't think they'd be the price they are right now, just because we remember and they remember what happened the last time Carolina came to town. They laid a 7-1 beating on them. That was Rask in net that day. Rask, I believe, retired last night. And they've beaten them twice this season. This is the third game in 4 nights for Carolina, but I don't think that's a problem either. They all teams are on a 6 or 7 day. We're on a 6 or 7 day break. And then you look at the total here, Andrew, as well too, and you see a 5.5, and it's like that carrot that dangles in front of me, where I say to you guys, 2 very good teams with 2 very good goalies. I like I got to think this is going to be a low scoring game. I said that last time these 2 teams played 7-1. I said that about Toronto and Carolina. It finishes 4-3 in OT, and my under 6.5 loses. With that said, it's going to be Freddie Anderson in goal tonight. I think that's the important thing here from, although not confirmed. You're going to get the best goalie for them, and I think off that game in Ottawa, more so the Ottawa game than the Toronto game. The Ottawa game, they came out, they looked flat. They didn't get the best performance from Antti Ranta in net, but sometimes you need your backup goalies to play well. He didn't, and Carolina didn't look good. The final score flattered Carolina in that game, because I think they were down 4-0 at one point and pretty much out of that game. I think the bounce back comes from that game more so than blowing the lead against the Leafs. Toronto's going to come back and beat a lot of teams this year, so I wouldn't put that one on Carolina. So with Freddie Anderson in goal, I'm going to take Carolina to make it 3 in a row against this Boston Bruins team that's short tonight. Brian?
Yeah, it looks bad on a team when you have players that do what Marchand has done. I mean, I live out here in Vegas. The Raiders players are all getting in trouble. It looks bad for the entire city. It looks bad for the organization. Boston's going to have to come to a time where they're going to say, is this guy worth being in the lineup and wearing one of our uniforms? He's a great player, but there's no need for a lot of this. And, it's frustrating for me because, you look at this Boston team and you look at the expected goals. They're the better team on the season in expected goals against Carolina. But you get Carolina with a 1.09 goals per 60 and 5-on-5 advantage in this game. They're up 38 goals on the season against Boston. Boston's just underperformed all season long, and now they continue to have these problems with some of the players and all. It's a tough situation. From a scheduling standpoint, this is the 3rd game in 4 days for Carolina. And they've been involved in 6 straight 1-goal games. Boston, on the other hand, 2nd game in 3 days, and they haven't left home all month, the entire month of February. They've had 8 straight games in which they haven't beaten a team at home by more than 1 goal. So with the importance of that, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I can't come up with a winner on this game because I think it's priced correctly, but I could get plus 325 on if this game goes to overtime. It's a lower scoring game. Andrew talked about this. He's leaning with the under in this game. I could see a 2-2 situation going into overtime in this game, and a nice payoff for myself. And if Andrew does like that under in this game, a nice payoff for him as well.
You gotta love the overtime wagers, Brian. There's some tremendous value on those, and I find that the more key matchups you find, just like this one we have tonight, there's great opportunities for these draws, and plus 300 price, anything around that ballpark. What's great about those is that you don't have to hit. You can hit every couple picks with the draws and still come out profitable. You don't have to hit the regular percentage because you're getting such a great plus price on that. Yeah, and as far as the Brad Marchand stuff goes, you're right. I mean, I wouldn't say he's doing similar stuff to what's going on in Las Vegas, but on the ice, he has not learned his lesson, it seems like. And his skill is so great, but sometimes he just gets out of it. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes being an agitator is good for a team, but when you get suspended for 6 games, I'm sure Patrice Bergeron's not very happy about that whatsoever. So, it's going to hurt them big time being without some key players tonight. That's for sure. But Brian looking at the draw, plus 300, great value there on that one. Our next game we're going to discuss, we have the Devils and the St. Louis Blues going head to head. I'm going to throw it to Brian first on this game, but we got minus 260 here with the Blues at home. The Devils are plus 210. Look, Brian, we kind of, since the breaks come back, we saw the Devils kind of, for lack of better words, get their asses handed to them in one game and then hand it right back to somebody else in their next game against the Montreal Canadiens. But now they're playing a lot more powerful foe in the St. Louis Blues here, that rightfully so, they're minus 260 here. What are your thoughts on this game? How do we attack it?
Yeah, it's interesting. If you take a look at their raw stats here, it's all St. Louis. This is a team who's got a 1.12 goals per 60 advantage on 5-on-5 play. They're plus 66 goal advantage on the season against New Jersey. If you look at expected goals, you could probably win a bar bet with this. Expected goals, New Jersey has a 0.32 advantage in 5-on-5 play and expected goals. So this is a team that's underperformed. And you mentioned they're getting their asses kicked the other day. I was on them in that game, and then they come back and win, I believe, 7-1 the following night. It's a hit and miss type of thing. A lot of luck involved in these games. But St. Louis is the better team, obviously. But I don't know if I want to lay this number. This is New Jersey's playing their 5th game in 11 days. And this is the first game St. Louis has played in 12 days. Whose advantage is that? You don't see that very often when it comes to a scheduling situation. I would think the team that's been on the ice a lot lately in New Jersey has a chance here. Take him on the puck line at plus 1.5 maybe. But I don't want to lay this type of number with a team who hasn't been on the ice for 12 days. Now, granted, they've been practicing, and it's not the COVID situation that we ran into earlier in the year. But for a team who hasn't been physical on the ice in 12 days, to lay this kind of number, I can't do it. I think there's some value here on New Jersey. Don't know if I'll get involved, but that's the side I'm leaning towards.
Well, like you mentioned, it's a very weird situational scheduling spot in this game. And kind of what I would take out of that would be a first period over 1.5, which the Devils, as we know, have been really good with those goals in the first period, whether it's been them scoring or their opposition here. And yeah, it's very weird. One team not playing a game in so many days. Devils have played a few games already here. Carm, what are your thoughts?
Listen, we're 20 minutes into this show, and it took 20 minutes for us to have our first disagreement. This is kind of like Festivus. It's the airing of the grievances, Brian. But I get the time off for St. Louis and a lot of these teams, and the last game that we're going to talk about, the teams that had 9 days off. In all honesty, I don't think it's going to be as big a problem, only because of the disparity between these two teams. You look at, and we're getting back to goalies again, although not confirmed. If it's Gillies in net for the Devils, he hasn't been good this year. He's got 2 wins, 6 losses. The 2 wins, his team scored 7 goals from. They're not scoring 7 goals on the St. Louis Blues tonight, especially not if it's Ville Husso in goal. Husso, 6 straight wins were broken off that bad loss. They played bad against Winnipeg just before the All-Star break, and that's why I figure they're going to get right back at it. You want to bounce off that game, and then you look at Husso at home is 7-1 this year. His only loss, again, I believe, was that loss to Winnipeg. They were flat in that game, and they've been pretty good over the course of this season, coming off of a loss and a loss at home. So I want to take him here. I don't want to take him at this price. So I'm going to play it a little differently here. I think you take St. Louis in the first period. You can get plus money on St. Louis by taking St. Louis minus a half goal, and you're going to get plus 110, 115 on the Blues. This is a Devils team that are missing some players. They're having issues, obviously, with their goalies. They're not a playoff team. So they're playing out their season much like the Montreal Canadiens are. And Andrew, I know you had this team as a sell team. Yes, they beat the Montreal Canadiens, but when two bad teams play, one of them's got to win. So let's see how they stack up against a good Blues team who's been very good at home this season. So give me the Blues here, but I'm going to take them as a first period play. I'll lay the half a goal, and I'll take the plus money here. That vig on this game, full game, is just too much for me. If you've watched the show, you know I'm not going to take those prices.
Well, Karma, I always say this. I'm shocked by the first period puck line price you can get. It's just a great turnaround. Obviously, you're only getting 20 minutes of hockey, but I'm always shocked compared to that full game money line or full game puck line price. The difference you can get just by narrowing in on that first 20 minutes is really, really strong. And to your point, obviously, like Brian and I were saying, it's a weird scheduling spot for kind of, the matchup. But if anybody out there uses beating the Montreal Canadiens as positive momentum in their handicapping lately, it's kind of tough because, pretty much they lose to everybody by margin. So I don't really know how much confidence you'd get out of that one. Let's keep this train on the tracks here, guys, with the Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames. I have a bone to pick with this Calgary Flames team right now, and you guys wouldn't think I would because I should be happy with them for saving my bet last night. I had the over 6 in Vegas and Calgary, and look, I needed one more goal from one of those teams, and obviously I know Calgary pulled their weight, but the fact that I got a push last night with that, very disappointing. But Calgary playing their second game in as many nights. They're plus 120 at home. Toronto minus 140 on the road. And the total's at 6 here in this one. Like I discussed earlier on the show, and I was obviously just complaining, I had Carolina in that game against the Maple Leafs, where a great comeback came through for the Maple Leafs. As far as this Calgary team goes, like I mentioned, first game back was yesterday. Layoff didn't hurt them too much. We saw an unbelievable shutout from Markstrom. He stood on his head and played some great hockey. I'll keep it short and sweet for me, guys. I'm going right back to the over in this game. I think that Calgary wants to play a good defensive system like we saw yesterday, but they play great offense. Their lines were clicking. Their top 6 looked like they had great chemistry. And let's be honest, the Maple Leafs have an unbelievable offense. Austin Matthews is healthy. There was some concerns about a little hit he took in last game. He's healthy. And to me, this should be a 6.5. So one of those reasons on its own, I'm on the over 6 here. But like I said, guys, I don't always think that back-to-backs are a huge angle. I think back-to-backs are pretty overrated as far as the money line goes. But as far as a total goes, I feel like you can still take it into account. Of course, we have Dan Vladar in nets tonight for the Flames. He's a decent tendy, but he's not the same as Jakob Markstrom. So I'm on over 6 here, Carm.
Yeah, Andrew, I'm not sure about the total, to be honest with you. As you said, it could go both ways. These teams have played once. A game in Toronto, it went to OT, 2-1 final for the Leafs. And they're the same goalies that were projected to be in goal tonight in this game, Campbell and Vladar in goal. I'm loving this Calgary team the way they're playing right now. They got the C from Carmine right on their jerseys. I'm loving the way they're playing, and I've got a bet on them. But I somehow feel like they're going to lose tonight on the second of a back-to-back. That game just seemed so easy for them last night that they may have to up their tempo and match the Leafs' speed tonight. And it's a very low price on Toronto, minus 140. The Leafs have a 3-game road trip. It starts tonight in Calgary. It ends in Seattle. But let me tell you, it's that second game that I'm probably going to fade the Toronto Maple Leafs. Their second game is in Vancouver. Vancouver is going to have, and I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but Vancouver is going to have a little bit of like a bee in their bonnet, whatever you want to call it, off of last night's loss, they're going to be waiting for the Leafs, and they beat the Leafs all 4 games last season at home in Vancouver. So Leafs got that game waiting for them, and if they have a tough one in Calgary tonight, it doesn't bode well, especially because you're not going to likely see Campbell in goal in that game. I like the Leafs tonight. I think the price is right here, minus 140. Calgary's 4-3 this year in the second of back-to-back, so there's not much there as far as that goes. I just think last night was a lot easier than it should have been on Calgary, despite the fact that I did like them. I don't think Vegas gave them a run for their money. And as Brian told me beforehand, it wasn't announced till very late that Stone wasn't playing last night, so that kind of hurt that Vegas team as well too. Leafs at a short price, minus 140. I'm going to stay away from the total. Brian?
Yeah, I think Andrew may be fortunate to have gotten that 6 without Stone. I don't know if you'd have played the over because he's such a good player offensively and, with steals and all. You have to have Stone and Pacioretty to bet an over in my regard with the Golden Knights. Really interesting game. 2 very good hockey teams here. Toronto's playing their second game in 9 days. Calgary, their 4th in 10 days. When you take a look at 5-on-5 play, Calgary has a 0.34 advantage per 60 minutes, and expected goals 0.16, or maybe it's 1.2 in expected goals per 60 minutes. And on the season, Toronto's got a +4 goal advantage between these two. I have these two teams rated right now very equal. So I guess this is my turn to go up against you, Carmine. And when you say that it's a nice cheap price on Toronto minus 140, Colorado's just as good as Toronto right now. But I won't be on Carolina. Calgary. I'm gonna name every team that begins with C in the NHL.
Carmine.
Calgary.
They're all pretty good teams,
the Carmine team.
Yeah, all good teams.
But Calgary's just as good as Toronto is. The problem is they just came off that game last night against Vegas. Vegas wasn't prepared, obviously, second of a back-to-back situation. But to Calgary's advantage, because they got the lead so early, they didn't have to put in a lot of minutes on their better players. So, yes, they are playing second of back-to-back. They had a quick 3-0 lead at the end of the first period, and it was all them all the way through, the way they play defense. And with the Knights without one of probably their best or second best offensive player, they weren't going to threaten that. So I kind of like Calgary here. I think the value is on Calgary, but the scheduling situation of having to play the Knights yesterday is going to keep me off, even though if you do like Calgary, you're going to have a fresher team than what you probably would expect playing in the second of back-to-back.
Brian, Leonard, number 3 at WagerTalk College Basketball. And Brian, you have your biggest card going tonight. Did I read that right? 11 plays tonight on college hoops?
Yeah, 11 plays tonight. And I'm coming off a bad night yesterday. Went 3-4 overall, but we lost our 5%. And I went 0-2 in hockey. So this is a big bounce back for me today. I had all these 11 plays listed. I already did all the work on them before yesterday. So that's a good thing because after you have a bad day and then you're handicapping, it's going to be a different way to handicap. You're going to be frustrated. I know Carmine and I talked a little bit. He didn't get much sleep last night. He's a little frustrated. It's a good thing I made these plays before I had those games yesterday because very frustrating in that regard. And I apologize for anyone who did buy the 5% on Harvard. Didn't work out. And then hockey 0-2, 3-4 overall. But big bounce back day today. These plays I use today are all in the same general system that I use. It's been very successful all season long. It just so happened, one day I may have 0 of these plays. One day I may have 1. We have 11 today. And I didn't want to miss out on any of them. I'm not going to pick and choose. So it's a big day for me. And not only are you going to get that all 11 for one price, which is normally $39, I put in a $29 package. So you're saving $10 off of what you normally would on our plays for today. And I am going to add a hockey play, and you talked about the New Jersey over. I like that. I played that the other day. They continue to go over in that first period, and I think that's a really good bet So I'm going to be adding that one. So for those of you that complain you don't get our actual plays, that's going to be one of our plays today.
Awesome stuff. Well, best of luck tonight, especially with all those college hoop plays. I'll definitely be messaging you, seeing what you're getting after. That's a lot of confidence tonight. Number 3 at WagerTalk. We have one more game to dive into, and then we are getting to best bets at the end of this show, guys. And this is a big one here. The Tampa Bay Lightning visiting Colorado to take on the Avalanche. Colorado minus 120 at home. Tampa plus 100. Totals at 6 in this game. We've got Colorado 9-1 their last 10 games. Tampa Bay 7-2 their last 9. Both teams are on streaks of their own. Both teams having zero trouble putting the puck in the net, scoring goals, even without some key guys. Obviously, we know Nathan McKinnon was out. He was unfortunately unable to attend the NHL All-Star Weekend. But this is a great matchup here. This is 2 really talented teams. Obviously, we got some decent goaltending, especially on the side of Tampa Bay with Vasilevsky. But look, this might seem like one of those cliche plays here, Carm, but I have to look towards the over. Over 6, first game for both teams since the break. Lots of talent, lots of defensemen that have no problem moving the puck up the ice. I think we see goals here.
Yeah, you know what, Andrew? My thoughts are right there with you as well too. As far as goals, I think we see some goals. Both these teams on what 8 off days since they last played. And you look at it, the last time they played, the Avs lost at home to the Coyotes, which broke their 10-game winning run, an 18-game winning run at home. It's weird that their 18-game win streak at home was bookmarked by losses to Columbus and the Coyotes. But I'm looking for goals here. You know, I mean, if you believe the odds makers, this is your Stanley Cup preview because these 2 teams are the ones that are favored in the futures markets. You know, the game in Tampa Bay early in the season, I think 10 games into the season, finished 4-3 for the Avs in a shootout. I'm going to look for some goals in this game tonight. So I'm with you on the over in this game. I'm not going to pick a side. I'm going to just sit back and enjoy this game. One last thought, not this game, but the Blues game I talked about, because as you guys were talking, I'm updating the goalies, and as excited as I was for the Blues and Billy Husso, it's Jordan Binnington in net for St. Louis tonight. He's been lit up, Andrew. His 3 of his last 4 games, he's I think 1-3 his last 4 games, and in the 3 losses, he's allowed 5, 6, and 7 goals. I'm not happy about that. I wanted to see Billy in net tonight for St. Louis, but I thought I would just mention that in closing before I throw to Brian.
Well, that will have something to do with our first period over. You're going to have some more juice in that regard, but yeah, I still think it's a good bet. This is a really interesting game. There's some really good hockey games tonight. I can't wait to watch them. You mentioned how both teams would be the first game back in a while. In 5-on-5 play, Colorado has a plus 0.37 goals per 60 advantage. Tampa Bay, when you're looking at expected goals, a slight advantage of 0.04. Calgary has a plus 27 goal advantage in this game on the season. I know Tampa Bay, actually both these teams take it a little bit differently. They're trying to space out their play all season long, dealing with injuries and the whole bit. So both teams are better than what they're where their goal differentials have been this year. Interesting for myself in that Tampa Bay, you mentioned Vasilevsky, so good at home and not quite as good on the road, which would point to your over in this game. But I kind of think there's some value here on Colorado. Now, I talked yesterday about teams being so good at, Dallas, the home road dichotomy, the Las Vegas Knights home road dichotomy. Chicago's been, with all those days off and coming off of a bad performance, losing 7 of 8, and they came out. I should have been on Chicago in the first period yesterday. In hindsight, that was probably the best bet on the board. You run these things through your head as you're discussing them between the 3 of us, and things pop into your head. And that was a good situation yesterday. I don't think any of us took advantage of, but I still think this Colorado line's cheap. I know they've been great at home, and you're paying the price at home. But how do you have a team? I know they're a little bit shorthanded. I grade them out to be the better team here. Playing at home, and you're only laying this price, and they've been terrific at home. Can't expect that to continue. But as you mentioned, Carmine, the 2 losses at home were games in which they didn't get up for. Well, they're playing the 2-time champions. Colorado will be up for this game. I think this line's a little bit cheap. I like Colorado here, and they may make my card today.
I gotta ask you, Brian. What do you think? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but just top of your head here. What's this number with McKinnon in the lineup? Because if they're minus 120 without him, what's this number with a marquee player like him? One of the best in the league.
Yeah, I think it's in the 140 range. And to get them playing at home, you usually see a lot of 20-cent differentials. If you're on a bad team and your best player's out, it's going to make a bigger difference than that. But Colorado's played so many games without him. That's not going to have much of an effect. There's certain teams that just don't have the offensive ability to have somebody like that out of the lineup. Colorado's not. Colorado aren't anybody. And to get them 120, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, I think so as well, and I think they do have a lot of depth on their team as well. That's it for the 4 games we're going over. Just like Brian mentioned, a lot of great games. If you're a hockey fan, just in general, a lot of great games to watch tonight. Some great spots to bet as well. You can grab all our plays at WagerTalk.com. All 3 of us. I'll go to you, Brian. Just remind us real quick about what you have up and just the best bet for you today.
Yeah, we've already got 11 plays up in college basketball. I'm going to add Colorado. I'm going to add that New Jersey in the first period to that. So we got 13 plays, all for $29 off of a bad day yesterday. Big bounce back day for us. Actually dropped to number 2 in the NHL now. I don't know who passed me up, but number 2 in the NHL, number 3 in college basketball. Big rebound day for us. My best bet is going to be something that we discussed earlier today. That was the Carolina-Boston game. We expect a low-scoring game in that situation. Both teams have played a lot of 1-goal games as of late. I think this game goes to overtime. I'll take that 325 number plus 325. This game goes to overtime. I wouldn't have a problem if anybody likes the puck line, like to take the plus 1.5 too. But that leaves you a lot of juice in a game that's going to be as tight as this. But I think just approaching it any way like that is the way to win on this game, and that's what I'll do with the overtime plus 325.
You got to love the price on that, plus 325 for a draw. Great stuff there, Brian Leonard. Check him out over at WagerTalk.com. Mr. Bianco, what's going on for you today at WagerTalk?
Soccer and hockey, three plays in each up at WagerTalk. One day All Access will get it. Also, the promo's still up. The 7-day All Access, win 59, you get it for $59, 7 days All Access. Super Bowl package is up. There's already 7 prop plays up as part of that package for the Super Bowl. Last year I had like 10 prop plays in the Super Bowl, win 7 and 3, and lifetime at WagerTalk, the props have been good. I don't put a ton out, but when I put them up, they hit pretty good. They're at almost 63%, 62.9% with prop plays. And I don't take those high juice ones. I kind of stick to that low vig. And props are tough. They're always going to be in that 120, 130 range. As far as the best bet, and before I get to the best bet, just some market moving games. Carolina has gone up about 15 cents since this show started. And the over in the Leafs game, while still at 6, money has been coming in on the over, so that Vegas pushing it. If it continues to go, you might see a 6.5 in that game. Nothing much else moving. Show best bet. I'm going to go back to that St. Louis one I talked about. I'm going to go to the first period and take St. Louis -0.5 plus 115. I think it's a good way of playing the St. Louis Blues in this game because otherwise you just can't lay the juice at that high a price. So let's see if we can get another winner. The Calgary Flames got it done for us yesterday as a show best bet. Let's try and get another one today with the St. Louis Blues first period.
Awesome stuff. Great plus price there on that as well. Grab soccer and hockey action from Carmine over at WagerTalk.com. Guys, for me, I don't promote it too often, but I've told you guys before, I have a 5% UFC play going for UFC 271. It is on the main event. It's going to be a massive card. Super excited about it. In 2021, I was number 1 with 5% UFC plays. Currently on a great run as well, just over the past few months. You can check that out over at WagerTalk. Again, that's Saturday night, UFC 271, 5% play on the main event. And, it's funny, guys. I had with 5% last week. It was, unanimous decision. It was awesome. It was the early card. I don't usually have these big plays on the main event. So it just so happened that I love a spot in the main event for this weekend in the UFC 271. But check that out over at WagerTalk. My best bet, Carm kind of just mentioned about the movement there, but I'm rolling with Carolina, the Hurricanes, guys. I just think that without some key players for Bergeron and Marshy, I think that makes a huge difference for the Boston Bruins. I don't like to overreact to a few players being out, but as of right now, I haven't really seen that much depth out of the Bruins to tell me they can compete without those two guys being on the ice. So that's it for me. I'm looking at Carolina on the money line here. So to recap the best bets, we've got Carmine Bianco looking at St. Louis in the first period. We've got Brian Leonard looking at the draw plus 325, Carolina, Boston, and I have Carolina on the money line minus 130. Bet that one now, guys, before the number moves. I want to thank Brian for joining us back-to-back days here on the show. Always a thank you to my co-host Carmine Bianco and Dan behind the scenes. All the best, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 57 on February 12, 2023 from your favorite WagerTalk handicapper for only $1,199 versus a regular price of $1,999 for one total savings of $800. This limited time super discount comes out to less than $100 per month and only $3.28 per day. As an added bonus, your all access starts immediately. So the sooner you buy before Super Bowl 56, the more additional days you will get for free. Just go to WagerTalk.com, choose your favorite handicapper to lock in, and don't forget there is no limit to the amount of handicappers you can redeem our Super Bowl to Super Bowl offer on.